House shopping can be fun for some, but for others it can be a pain. In our story today, house shopping leads to murder. Welcome to The Secret Sits. I'm your host, John Dodson. Join us every Thursday as we uncover the secrets behind the world's most fascinating true crime cases. You can find all episodes of The Secret Sits for free on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you are hearing, reach out to us on Instagram and Facebook at TheSecretSitsPodcast or on Twitter at SecretSitsPod. Now, on with our story. Our story today zeroes in on a woman named Lindsay Elizabeth Buziak. Lindsay was born on November 2nd, 1983, making her 28 years old at the time of our story in 2008. Lindsay's parents were Jeff and Evelyn Buziak, and she had one sister called Sarah. Our story unfolds in January of 2008 in Victoria, British Columbia. Victoria is the southernmost city in Western Canada. The city boasts a population of around 92,000 residents. Lindsay was trying to gain traction in her job as a real estate agent, and she had made a promising start thus far. She was known as a caring person, and she was remarkable to everyone who met her. Lindsay was dating Jason Zalo, who was a member of a particularly prominent family in Victoria. Jason's family owned and operated several successful real estate businesses, and they were well known throughout the province. Jason himself was a real estate broker who also had his real estate license. One day, in late January of 2008, Lindsay's phone rang, and she did not recognize the number. But in Lindsay's line of work, you have to take every call, just in case. Lindsay answered the call, and on the other end of the phone was a woman with a strange-sounding foreign accent. The woman told Lindsay that she and her husband were looking to purchase a home in Victoria, and they needed to find a property urgently. The woman gave Lindsay the parameters of what they were searching for. They needed to have a house that was already set up. It needed to be immediately move-in ready. It had to be within 15 to 20 minutes from town. She also wanted a separate housekeeper's quarters within the house, and they were looking to spend around $1 million for this home. Lindsay wrote the list of requirements in her day planner so she could begin searching. This call struck Lindsay as strange. You see, Lindsay was in the, let's call it, smaller real estate game. She had never sold any real estate costing $1 million. Not to say that she was not capable. In this area of Victoria, houses typically sold for around $500,000 apiece anyway. But she began to question if she was out of her depth, and she also began to question how this mysterious woman had obtained her personal phone number. Lindsay asked the woman how she happened to come by her name and phone number, and the woman told Lindsay that she knew one of her former clients, and she had gotten information for her from them. This seemed strange, but somewhat plausible to Lindsay. Lindsay did contact some of her former clients inquiring about this mysterious woman, but she did not sound familiar to anyone Lindsay spoke with. After copying down the information about the woman's interests when it came to the property she wanted, Lindsay immediately told her boyfriend Jason about the call. She also called her father Jeff, who was also a real estate agent, to tell him about the call as well. You can already tell even Lindsay felt as if something was off about this situation. Jason told Lindsay that she should absolutely take on this client. This is how you get the big fish to bite. She could not pass up on this amazing commission. And as an added layer of support for his girlfriend, Jason offered to also go to the house showing with Lindsay and wait outside in his car for her. And with these assurances, Lindsay went to work, finding a suitable property for the woman. Lindsay compiled a list and emailed a few suggestions to the woman on February 1st. The two women exchanged 10 more phone calls over the next few days. One of those calls lasted 10 minutes. Lindsay gave the woman an address, 1702 D'Souza Place. It was in a suburb of Victoria called Saanich and was in the Gordon Head neighborhood. They set a meeting for the next day at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, February 2nd, 2008. As I have said, Lindsay Buziak was the kind of person people would gravitate toward. Her boyfriend, Jason, was proof of this. Lindsay's sister said, "She was with Jason at the time, and I knew she was extremely happy." Lindsay and Jason had been dating for a little less than a year, and Jason's mom, Shirley, purchased an expensive waterfront condo that the newly minted couple then moved into. Lindsay's father, Jeff, said he adored Lindsay, but he was overprotective, overpossessive, jealous, and that really bothered Lindsay. Lindsay had been in the real estate business for about a year at this point, and even in her short tenure, she felt a bit uneasy about this situation, and she expressed this to her father. She told him, "There is something weird I'm sensing about this." She felt the woman on the phone sounded strange. Lindsay was also concerned because the woman had not called her company number, which is the number listed on her brochures, but instead she had called her personal cell phone. The woman had given Lindsay the name of the former client who had shared her contact information. But when Lindsay attempted to confirm this story through her former client, they never answered her calls because they were out of town and unavailable. All of these strange things did not make Lindsay so suspicious that she wanted to back out of the deal, but she did ask Jason to go to the listing appointment for support. Jason is 6'3" and weighs in at 240 pounds. He is also an ex-semi-professional hockey player. He could be an intimidating figure, to be sure. As Saturday arrived, it was a day like any other. Lindsay and Jason were out for a late lunch at a local restaurant called Sauce, and they paid their bill at 4:24 p.m., just over an hour until Lindsay's appointment. The couple had arrived separately to the restaurant, and they left in their own separate vehicles as well. Lindsay ran home to change for her showing, and Jason traveled to SHC Autographics Auto Shop. The owners had hired Jason to sell the property, and he was bringing by an offer to present to them. That evening, Jason had planned to go to dinner with his friend Cohen Oatman. Cohen met Jason while he was still at the auto shop. The two men left the auto shop in Jason's vehicle at 5:30 p.m. Jason tried using his GPS in the car to find the house. However, he could not get it to work. So he called Lindsay for directions. While on the phone with her, the couple arrived for their showing. Lindsay told Jason, "Okay, I'll see you in a bit. I gotta go. The Mexicans are here." I'm not quite sure what to make of this nickname, but I digress. Jason was running a bit behind schedule as he and his friend left the auto shop. The CCTV footage at the auto shop showed Jason and Cohen leaving right at 5:30 p.m., the time he was supposed to already be at Lindsay's showing. Jason texts Lindsay to let her know that he was running behind, but he was on his way. Lindsay arrived at the cul-de-sac on D'Souza Place. This small cul-de-sac had 4 homes situated in it. The house Lindsay would be showing was number 1702, and this house sat on the outer end of the 4 homes. The home was located at more of the intersection than the interior portion of the cul-de-sac. The road which intersects with D'Souza Place was Torquay Drive, which was a heavily traveled thoroughfare. The side of this house and the fence around the backyard ran parallel to Torquay Drive. Now, this mysterious client had told Lindsay that she would be coming to the showing alone. But when the woman arrived for her appointment at 5:30 p.m., 2 eyewitnesses saw the woman along with a 6-foot-tall Caucasian man with dark hair. Now this is Victoria in February, and on this day the sunset was at 5:15 p.m. So by the time Lindsay is meeting this couple, it's already pretty dark outside. The woman had short blonde hair, almost cut like a bob, and witnesses stated that she appeared to be between 35 and 45 years old. The witnesses said that the woman was easily rememberable because she was wearing a very distinct dress. This dress is a mid-thigh length dress with a wavy color-blocking pattern of black, white, and pink. As Lindsay approached the couple at the back of her car, which was parked in the driveway, she shakes their hands. But those who witnessed this introduction said they could tell Lindsay had never met these people before. After their introduction, the trio turned and walked into the house and closed the door behind them. Jason and Cohen arrived at the cul-de-sac at approximately 5:40 p.m. As they were driving up to the house, Jason could make out the hazy shape of a tall male figure through the glass in the front door of the home. It seemed as if the front door was just closing as Jason and Cohen pulled up. Jason assumed that maybe they had just begun the showing. The mysterious couple were actually just about to walk out of the front door and leave, and as Jason turned into the cul-de-sac, he interrupted them leaving. If he had been 5 seconds later, he would have driven right past them, walking out into the driveway. Jason pulled up to the front of the house and parked on the street. They sat there for about 10 minutes before Jason decided to move his vehicle over to Torquay Drive, just beside the home, and park there. Jason explained that he did this because he did not want to be seen as a nosy, overbearing boyfriend. After moving to the side of the house, Jason waited for another 10 minutes to pass. It was now 6 p.m., 30 minutes into Lindsay's showing. So Jason texted her to make sure that everything was going okay inside of the large house. Jason could tell by looking at his phone that Lindsay never saw this message. Tired of waiting with no answers, Jason walked to the front door of the house. When he tried the handle, he found that the door was locked. This is a big no-no in the real estate world. He could see inside of the house through the mottled glass in the front door, and he could see Lindsay's shoes there in the foyer. Jason began ringing the doorbell and knocking on the door. He could not see any movement inside of the house, and no one came to the door. This is when Jason dialed 911. At 6:05 p.m., Jason called 911. He told the dispatcher that his girlfriend was meeting an out-of-town client for a real estate showing. Jason told the 911 dispatcher that Lindsay was kind of scared and that he had kind of followed her for the showing. Jason was asking for police to come and do a wellness check on the empty house. While Jason was on the phone with 911, he and Cohen went around the back of the house. Jason helped to boost Cohen over the fence, and he entered the backyard. When he did, he could see that the back patio door to the house was wide open. He called out to Jason and told him that he had found a way in. Jason told the 911 dispatcher that the two men were going to enter the house, and he hung up. Jason ran back to the front of the house to the front door. Cohen entered the home and made his way to the front door. He then unlocked the door to allow Jason to gain entry. The two men split up to search the house. Cohen took the downstairs, and Jason took the upstairs. Jason immediately began calling out Lindsay's name, and he scampered up the stairs to the second floor. He entered the main bedroom, located just at the top of the stairs. There, he found Lindsay Buziak lying in a pool of blood in the main bedroom. Jason yelled for Cohen to call 911 again. Jason tried in vain to perform CPR, but it was too late. Cohen told the 911 dispatcher about some bloody footprints in the house and about Jason finding Lindsay in a pool of blood. As police responded to the 911 call, they saw Jason and Cohen in the upstairs window waving them down. And as soon as paramedics arrived, they pronounced Lindsay dead. Police took both Jason and Cohen into custody and transported them separately to the police station to be interviewed. Police cleared the big empty house. There was no one else present. They then brought in a canine unit to search for the missing couple. But after leaving the house, their scent just vanished. Lindsay had multiple stab wounds, but no defensive wounds, indicating that she had probably been stabbed from behind first and taken off guard. Nothing had been taken from the house. None of Lindsay's belongings had been taken, and Lindsay had not been sexually assaulted. The Secret Sits will return in just a moment.
Hi, this is Mike Fresh from The Wrestling Independent, the heartbeat of professional wrestling. Subscribe to The Wrestling Independent as we dive into what the passion is that fuels them. We reflect on what the world of wrestling has done for them as we talk to the hottest rising stars in professional wrestling, such as Willow Nightingale and Kayla Sparks, who have both been all over AEW and WWE television, Invicta Fight Club CEO Shannon Knapp, PJ Savage, the Haida Heartthrob Adam Ryder, Eric Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett, and more. Subscribe right now to The Wrestling Independent on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are found.
This case has some unique time markers that I would like to discuss. Firstly, the lockbox on the home was computerized and attached to a server, which records the times it is opened. Because of this, we know for a fact that Lindsay unlocked the lockbox at 5:29 p.m. Lindsay showed the couple the downstairs of the house for approximately 11 minutes, and then the trio headed to the second floor. At 5:41 p.m., Lindsay placed a call on her phone, investigators believe by accident. This phone call goes to a friend that Lindsay has not spoken to for quite some time. The person's voicemail picks up, and all that can be heard on the message is muffled sounds. Police believe that this was a pocket call, or butt dial. As Lindsay entered the main bedroom and made her way across the large room toward the en-suite bathroom, this mysterious couple followed in her wake. And as she crossed the threshold of the room, they attacked. Police believe that the pocket dial was a direct result of this attack. They believe that the attackers somehow hit buttons on Lindsay's BlackBerry and accidentally sent out a call. Lindsay had been stabbed over 40 times, and the police had no leads on whom this mysterious couple were, or how they were able to slip out of the house unnoticed. The only people at the house when law enforcement arrived had been Jason and Cohen. The police go through Jason's alibi for the day, looking into each and every detail of his day. He had met Lindsay for lunch at Sauce, then traveled to his meeting at the nearby auto shop while Lindsay ran home to get ready for the house showing. 1 hour after Jason arrived at the business, surveillance video confirms that Jason and Cohen are just leaving their location. At the same time, it is confirmed that Lindsay first opened the door for her clients, and now her suspected murderers. The police cleared Jason and Cohen of any wrongdoing, and they are released. According to Saanich Police Department, Jason Zalo has been interviewed several times over the years and has always cooperated with police. He has also passed a polygraph test. Police detectives could find no traces of DNA, no fingerprints or other physical evidence at the scene of this horrific crime. Because of the cleanliness of this crime, police quickly developed a theory that this murder may have been a carefully organized hit, and that this mysterious couple could have been two hired hitmen, or hit women, as it were. Police do believe that the killers were attempting to leave through the house's front door as Jason drove up, and that after they quickly re-entered the house, they fled out of the back patio door, leaving the French doors open as they escaped. Police go on to say that they believe the couple went over the fence and to a getaway car, most likely parked on or near Torquay Drive. All of the cars located on the cul-de-sac were accounted for, and witnesses walking on foot did not see any cars leaving the cul-de-sac. One very interesting piece of evidence in this case is the cell phone used by the mysterious woman to call Lindsay Buziak. This phone was a burner phone. It had been purchased 3 months earlier in Vancouver. This phone had never been used in the entire 3 months after it was purchased, until it was used to call Lindsay Buziak. And Lindsay Buziak was the only person ever called using this phone. The phone was activated under the name Paulo Rodriguez, which the police have determined was a fake name. The phone was registered to a random address in Vancouver. This address does belong to an actual business, but police believe that it was chosen at random. Not long after the murder took place, this phone was deactivated and it has never been used since. Tracing the phone through cell phone towers, we can see that it traveled from Vancouver to Victoria on the ferry boat just 1 day before the murder. All of this leads investigators to believe that this phone was purchased with the sole plan of using it during this murder, further supporting their theory that this was a well-orchestrated murder. Detective Horsley stated, "The phone was only ever used for one thing, and that was to phone Lindsay Buziak. It's a level of planning that clearly shows Lindsay Buziak was the target. The issue is, was she really the target, or was she a scapegoat of convenience?" Jason Zalo's prominent family came under scrutiny and were investigated for this case as well. You see, the cul-de-sac where this house sat was named D'Souza Court, after the land developer Joe D'Souza. And who is Joe D'Souza, you ask? Well, he was a close friend and business associate of Shirley Zalo, Jason's mother. Some of the homes on this street were still under construction at the time of this murder, and Joe D'Souza had been on that street just 1 hour before the murder took place. This did not turn out to be the lead police thought it might be, and the Zalo family were all dropped from the potential suspect list. But even though the Zalo family, including Jason, were no longer considered suspects, many in the public still believed that Jason could have had something to do with the murder. Could he have been involved behind the scenes, as in ordering the hit? Lindsay's father was very vocal about Jason being overbearing and controlling, and Lindsay had spoken to her father just 6 weeks before her murder. And during this conversation with her father, Lindsay had confided to her father that she was considering ending her relationship with Jason. Could even a rumor of this be enough to cause Jason to order a hit on his girlfriend? I don't think so, but what do you think? There were no big breaks in this case, and in September of 2010, NBC Dateline aired an episode entitled Dream House Murder. In this episode, Saanich police detectives revealed that in December of 2007, approximately 8 weeks before Lindsay's murder, Lindsay Buziak had attempted to contact an old friend of her ex-boyfriend's while she was on a trip to Calgary. This person Lindsay was attempting to contact was a known drug dealer, although Lindsay was not known to use illegal drugs herself. It is not clear if she ever got in touch with this person or what she wanted to speak to him about in the first place. But following this out-of-the-ordinary phone call, on January 22, 2008, police conducted the largest drug bust in Alberta's history. The man Lindsay had been trying to contact was arrested during this operation, and he was considered one of the major participants in the illegal drug trafficking operation. This led police to question whether Lindsay could have been murdered by one of the drug cartels, because they may have believed she was a police informant. Police detectives investigated this possibility, but quickly put it aside. The motive did not fit, because they knew that Lindsay was not an informant, and the cartel's hired kills did not fit this MO. Crime scene investigator Yolanda McClary and homicide detective Dwayne Stanton both agreed that Lindsay's murder was not a drug cartel hit. It was a brutal and amateurish killing. What both of these professionals do believe is that Lindsay Buziak's murder was planned out very well, and that it was deeply personal. They also believe that this was done by someone close to Lindsay. The person had to be close enough to Lindsay to have access to inside information at the Remax office where she worked. There was one woman who worked at the office with Lindsay, and the day after Lindsay's murder, she just up and quit, out of nowhere. And this woman was found to have romantic connections to people involved with that large drug trafficking bust. Is that suspicious? You tell me. But maybe it was just bad timing. Also, once again, a name comes up we have heard before. Because who was the branch manager for this Remax office Lindsay worked at? Shirley Zilo, Jason's mother. Could Shirley be involved? What would be her motive? In 2008, one of Lindsay's close friends was startled awake in the middle of the night. She looked at her phone. She did not recognize the number. Half asleep, she answered the phone, and in her sleepy daze, Nikki could not quite make out what the caller on the other end of the phone was saying. But she began to notice that the woman had a strange accent that she could not quite place. Nikki's dear friend, Lindsay Buziak, popped into her head, and she remembered how Lindsay had had a phone call from a woman with a strange accent that she could not place, and she thought may have been a fake accent. And then Lindsay had been murdered. The phone hung up, and now Nikki was fully awake. She called the number back, but no one answered. So she called back again and again. She repeatedly called this number almost 30 times in a row until finally someone answered. And who do you think was on the other end of the line? It was someone you already are kind of familiar with. Shirley Zilo. That's right, Jason's mother. But the problem with this was that Nikki did not know Shirley Zilo. She asked the woman why she had called her in the middle of the night and how she had gotten her number in the first place. Shirley stated that she had meant to call a different Nikki. Her secretary's name was also Nikki. So Nikki asked why she even had her number in her contact list. To this, Shirley said she assumed Jason must have added the number. Just a side note to this portion of events, Shirley Zalo fully denies that any of these events with Nikki ever took place. Authorities have never spoken about this incident in public, so we are unsure if they have been investigated. In August of 2017, a message was posted on a public message board at lindsaybuziakmurder.com, a website dedicated to solving this murder. We will link this site in our show notes. This message stated, "I killed Lindsay, and stupid cops will never prove it. So you all got nothing. No one gives a shit anymore anyhow except her crybaby dad. Even her fakey girlfriends have washed it away. Typical loser chicks. Saanich cops dropped it because they can't solve shit, and were told to drop it. Cut the phony investigation. It's done. Go home, losers. Forget about her. The street always rules. Bitches die every day." This message, which reads like a full confession, gained a lot of attention, and Lindsay's dad did try to get the Saanich police to pursue this as a lead, but it never led to any substantive leads. In 2020, the Capital Daily obtained a public records request for this case. In the documents released, they learned that the police were aware of 2 different burner phones used in this case, not just the one. One phone was used for all of the calls to and from Lindsay, and the other phone was only used to call the first phone to check the voicemail. Sneaky, sneaky. In this release, they also learned that police had found what they considered strange internet activity in the time leading up to the murder, including the fact that some of Lindsay's chat messages were deleted, but police could not recover any of them. They also initially felt that some of Lindsay's Facebook friends had some very unsavory pasts, and they may have been playing a role in her murder. The police in Greater Victoria, British Columbia, have interviewed hundreds of people, and they have followed up on thousands of leads. But whoever committed this heinous murder remains a mystery to this day. One thing that has made this case so difficult to solve is that no one could say why anyone would want Lindsay dead. She had no enemies, and no one had a motive for this murder. Lindsay Buziak's father, Jeff, said, "I believe the people who made the decision to kill her are cowards, and cowards need to be caught. These people have to know they're not going to get away with murdering Lindsay Buziak." In February of every year, Jeff leads an annual walk in remembrance of Lindsay and to keep her case in the public eye. This event is called the Walk for Justice. Anyone with information on this case is asked to call the Saanich police at 250-475-4321 or contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. The Secret Sits podcast is researched and written by me, John Dodson. Audio engineering by Gabriel Dodson. Original logo artwork provided by Tony Lay.